So when you're pitching your band or your music services to a potential client, knowing what to say is crucially important. It can mean the difference between you getting the gig and not getting the gig. And there's this crazy miracle question that I learned some years ago when I'm speaking to clients that will almost guarantee you get the gig every time. And I'll tell you about it in this video. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now really quickly before we get into this video, if you're a musician or a band looking to make some very serious passive income, I am advising all musicians like this to start a YouTube channel today. And I'm serious, right now YouTube is the biggest opportunity for growth, expansion, and making money for musicians. And that's why I created the YouTube QuickStart course to help you get up and running on YouTube really quickly and making money really fast. And the best part is it's completely free, so you definitely want to check out the link in the description to get instant access to that. Okay, so as I mentioned, the conversation that you have when you're pitching your band or your music services with potential clients and when you're speaking to them, that conversation is really important. And I've seen so many artists and bands mess that conversation up. Like when they're talking to the clients, the number one thing they focus on is how much we're getting paid and all of that kind of stuff. And of course, that's an important question to ask, but that's nothing you want to throw out there immediately when you're having these conversations. Because like, put yourself in a client's situation. They're telling you about their event and everything that they need for their event, and they're looking for a band and all of that. And you respond with something like, well, what's your budget? And although most people probably know that that question will come up at some point, it can still be a little off-putting. And most importantly, it's not the ideal way to just jump into the conversation with how much are you paying or what's your budget kind of questions before you understand a little bit about what's being asked of you. Because one thing that I always say, and one thing you should absolutely keep in mind is this: people always have choices and options. In the vast majority of cases, you, your band, or your services are not the only band and services that the people are looking at, or at least you're not the only option that they have. There's another pop band, rock band, cover band, all of that kind of stuff just a phone call away. So since that's the case, you have to do things to set yourself apart from a lot of these other people. And what's happening is a lot of these other bands and musicians are starting with the question of, how much do you charge? What's your budget? You know, what's in it for me? And that's where this miracle question comes in. It shifts the focus from you and your needs to the clients and what they're looking for and their needs. And the question is simply this. In fact, I'll tell you how I go about using it so you kind of get an example of it. So when I'm talking to clients and they're giving me the information about what they want and all of this kind of stuff, what I do is respond with this. I say, so let me ask you a question. If you were to have the perfect band for your event that you're talking about, what would that band look like? And I'm telling you, this question is crazy good. It may sound like something that's kind of simple on the surface, but let me show you what it does. So the first thing that that question does is it gets them in the mindset of thinking about what it is that they want for their event. And of course, that's going to benefit you because that puts you in a position of just all you have to do is follow the things that they want and you'll have a successful gig. Versus these situations a lot of times where people are a bit more ambiguous about what they want and they don't really know. And then you get there and then they ask you to play different songs, or can you play this or can you do that? This question again gets them to thinking about that, and they can tell you specifics about what they want. And another thing that it does, and this is one of the important ones, is that it lets them know that you are focused on their needs, their wants, and their desires, not necessarily just focused on what's in it for you, like how much you're getting paid and all of that. And this is the part that makes them more willing to hire you because you're the band, you're the person that came out and, you know, expressed some concern about what it is that they want. And in addition to that, something else that it does is it sort of lets them know that, you know, you're capable of giving them what they need. If you're asking the question of, what would a perfect band, a perfect scenario be, for your situation? It lets them know that you can either do that, or you're going to be upfront about whether or not you can or cannot do it when you ask the question or when they answer it. I really cannot stress how good this question is. And one of the ways that you know that it's working, if you're asking it in person and you're talking to these people in person, they'll do this thing. Well, they'll lean back and say, let me think about that. And then that gets their wheels to turning. That's how you know this question is working. Or if you're talking to them over the phone, they'll do that thing where it's like, you know what? Probably this kind of thing, that indication that they're thinking about what that perfect band would be like. And what also happens is that this gives you the opportunity to be upfront and forthcoming about what you can and can't do, as I said. So if it's a situation where they say, this is the perfect band for our situation, you can say, well, that doesn't really sound like my band. Maybe another band would be better for you, so let me recommend someone else to you, or something like that. Or of course, conversely, it could be right in your wheelhouse. You can say, hey, this is the type of stuff we do all the time. We're familiar with it. We'd love to be the band for your event. And of course, it's not just an in-person thing or a phone call thing. You can also tell this kind of stuff over email and text messages. Of course, you won't get that body language feedback, but it'll be a thing where in those messages, you can see that they took some time to think about what it is that they want for their event, which again is beneficial to you. But again, what's really great about this question is it allows you to have a conversation and ask about other things before you get to the money and, how much are you paying us, or what's your budget type of thing. It's literally the equivalent of something like going to a barbershop or a spa, to get a haircut, and that stylist asking you, hey, what type of haircut would you like? Versus something like you going to that barbershop and sitting down in the chair, and before they ask you anything, they ask you, how much money do you have? Or do you have the money to pay for this haircut? But think about how you feel when you sit down in a chair of a barber or stylist that you've never met before, and they take the time to come around you and say, hey, what kind of haircut do you want? Let me check out your hair. Let me see what best fits you, and let me see how best to cut it. That will make you feel a whole lot more comfortable about getting that haircut, right? It's the exact same thing in these gig conversations when someone is looking to hire you for your services, and you're putting an emphasis on their needs and their wants and their desires. So this is definitely a question you want to ask. And of course, you can make up your own way to phrase it. This is the best phrasing that I found to work for me, and it just simply works. So like, it could even be something that's like a two-parted question. So first you ask something like, okay, well, what type of band are you looking for your event? And then after they answer that, you can follow up with something, with just a statement, with saying something like, oh, so it sounds like the perfect band for your event would be this type of band. Is that correct? And that gives them the opportunity to respond and clear up any sort of discrepancies in between those descriptions. And again, that allows you to say, oh, that's perfect. That's the exact type of band we are. Those are the exact type of services we offer. So let's do this. So let me send you a contract, or whatever the case may be. Now, of course, sending contracts and doing business and things like that is a whole different ball game. But if you want to learn more about that, you definitely want to check out these videos now.